everyone, my name is Chelsea and I just wanted to pop on here to give you guys 10 tips to help with your new homeschooling journey with all of the school shut down because of the coronavirus and everything, and you've been thrust into this homeschool world and you were never planning on it. I just wanted to share some quick tips that I had for you and I hope you guys enjoy. First tip is one that I have to remind myself all the time, and I've been homeschooling for almost a year, and that is to give yourself some grace. You're new to homeschooling. You've never done it before. You never planned on homeschooling, and now you're doing it with no warning. So don't be too hard on yourself. Give yourself some grace. Give yourself some forgiveness. If things don't go the way that you plan it in your head, that's okay. Just remember, you're human, your kids are human, your schedules are all out of whack. You're working from home now, your kids aren't at school. Everything is completely crazy now. So just remember to give yourself some grace when things don't go exactly the way that you think that they're going to go. Tip number 2 is, hold on, I'm looking at my notes. Have a schedule, but remember to be flexible with that schedule. Don't be so militant with your schedule, like, okay, at 7 o'clock, we're going to wake up. At 8 o'clock, we're going to do this. At 9 o'clock, at 10 o'clock. You're at home. You're not at school. So try to be a little bit more flexible with a schedule. I have a schedule, but it's like, okay, whenever we wake up, that's when we start. We have our things that we do throughout the day in a certain order, but we don't necessarily have like a time frame, like, okay, I'm gonna do this at 11. Because when you do that, you inadvertently stress yourself out. You're like, oh my God, it's almost 10 and I haven't done this yet. And then you freak out and everyone freaks out, and that's not fun. Because they're home with all of their distractions and all of their comforts, and they're not in a school setting anymore, that's where you have to remember that your schedule can be a little bit more relaxed. At school, they're used to a bell. They're used to things being at a certain time. Well, that's at school in a classroom. But at home, you're at home. You're not in a classroom. So being a little bit more flexible as far as time management goes. Tip number 3, schoolwork doesn't have to be done from a book or sitting at a desk. Not all kids like sitting at a desk, and working. That's why I think a lot of kids get in trouble when they're at school, because like they're misbehaving and they're, they keep talking and doing stuff. Remember, while your kids are at home, they don't have to sit down at the kitchen table or at the dining room table and just, read from a book for 8 hours. I mean, that's not how a lot of kids do stuff. Kids learn by doing.
Mommy,
Yes, baby.
I don't sit now.
Yes, you can.
I watch Octonauts.
You can watch Octonauts. Kids learn by doing. And so have them help you cook, have them help you clean, make things fun. When you're cooking, you're measuring, you're learning math skills. When you're cleaning, you're obviously learning how to clean, that's obviously a life skill everybody needs. Teach them how to sew on a button. These are all things that they're learning, even though it's not from a book. Okay, so number 4, the TV is not your enemy. It is not your enemy. I know I might get some hate for this one, but if you're now working from home, or you need to clean, or you just need to have a moment of peace, the TV's not your enemy. While you're homeschooling, don't forget that there's tons of documentaries out there. There's tons of YouTube channels that are educational. There's YouTube channels that have art tutorials. My kids love those. They will sit down for 2+ hours and draw following a tutorial. And that's awesome. It's teaching them how to draw, and they love to draw. That's art. My kids like Octonauts, they love Magic School Bus, they like Planet Earth, they love just all kinds of science documentaries or history documentaries, all kinds of stuff. So, and if you're on the iPad or whatever, you put on some learning games. For the younger kids, there's apps that like teach you the alphabet and colors and shapes and all kinds of stuff. So if you're gonna have them in front of a screen, just make sure it's something educational. And that still is awesome, and it helps with your sanity so that you get a moment of peace. Number 5, okay. So while you're at home, school will only take a fraction of the time that it will as if they were in a classroom learning. And the reason is you're working one-on-one. You're not working like 1-on-25 like you are in a classroom, one teacher with 25 students. You're working with just you and your child. Even if you have multiple kids, it's not going to take you 8 hours to do things with your kids, as far as like book learning. So on a normal day, my kids normally have school. Their lessons only take an hour, sometimes an hour and a half, like as far as their book work. And then we do other things. So like we'll watch TV, we'll watch science stuff. We do art, we play learning games and activities. We do karate, PE, all kinds of stuff that we do. But it doesn't take 8 hours because we're not teaching 20 kids. So at home, your kids don't have to be sitting at the table for 8 hours. If they're sitting there for an hour and a half, good job. Number 6, well, Beta, I just said it. Homeschool doesn't have to look like school at home. Don't try to recreate school at home because you're not at school right now. So being a little less strict and a little bit more lenient is totally okay. We don't want our kids who are now completely off their schedule to have a meltdown because we're being too strict, right? We want them to kind of ease into it. We don't want our kids to have a meltdown. We don't want to have a meltdown. We don't want to go into the bathroom and cry. Because trust me, I've had days where I've done it and it's not fun. So on those days where I'm like, come on, let's get it done, those are the days that my kids end up being like, no. And then they have huge meltdowns. And then the whole day is just a wreck. So just remember, you're not at school. And if you try too hard to make it school, it probably just won't turn out that well. Don't overthink it. This is a big one. If you're, oh, my computer. If you're overthinking, things will probably, like you'll work yourself into a frenzy. I remember before I started homeschooling, I actually had like a really bad panic attack because I thought I was going to fail. I was so absolutely terrified that I was going to be horrible, that I was not fit to teach my children, and I had all the panic attacks. And you can ask my husband. He had to sit there and rub my back and tell me it was going to be okay. And now after I've been doing it, I'm like, oh, what was I panicking about? This is fine. But try to remember to have fun. Cherish this time with your kids while they're at home. Your kids love you. You are their mom. You are their dad. They just want to have fun with you. And you can have fun and still learn. You can play games. You can, just spending time as a family. You can't do that while you're working and your kids are at school for, so many hours during the day. So while you do have this time together, remember to just cherish it. I mean, your kids love you. You love your kids. So spending time with your kids should not be like, it's going to be stressful because they're kids. Let's be honest. But it shouldn't be stressful to the point where everyone's breaking down. So we still want to have fun, even though we're all going to be like tired of being at home at the end of this, like social distancing and like self-quarantining and that kind of stuff. We still want to love our families at the end of this, right? number 8, how many? 8. Get outside. If you have a nice backyard or a nice front yard, get outside, let them run around, let them get their wiggles out. That's one thing that we do here at my house is we like to get the wiggles out. So we do jumping jacks, push-ups, sit-ups, we play games, or we just get up and we just wiggle all over the place. So we get up, or we have a dance party just to get the wiggles out, and then we get back to doing our work. Take breaks often. Kids, my kids, for example, my kids love to take breaks. So if I do one page and Milo's like, okay, mommy, I really want to take a break. I'm like, okay, you've got 5 minutes. Go run around the room and get your wiggles out and then come back. And he will run around the room like a tornado, and then he'll come back and then he will do more work. So I let him lead. When he says, mommy, I need a break, I'm like, okay, go take you a break. But if you have, a nice outside area, go outside as long as it's not raining. It's raining where I'm at constantly now. But let's see, number 9, everyone deals with things differently. With this whole coronavirus stuff going around, and the world's in chaos, and people are hoarding toilet paper and hoarding food, and just it's absolutely chaotic outside. Let's remember, at the end of the day, we want our children to be happy and we want them to be healthy. And if you only do 3 days of actual book learning, do other things during the week that are still equally as fun, but they're still learning. That's all part of homeschool is. It's not just book work, it's life. And, we deal with things differently, but try your hardest to remember this will not last forever. You're not used to homeschooling. Your kids will eventually go back to school and things will level out. But for now, everything's chaotic. Let's just remember to because I have to remember to kind of chill. I'm a very chaotic person in general. I'm very hyper all the time. So I always have to remember to calm down, Chelsea. So yeah, and I rant a lot if you haven't noticed. And lastly, number 10, you will be okay. You are a parent and it is hard. I know. I get it. We all get it. Being a parent is so hard. And just if you are really, really struggling with homeschooling your kids right now, reach out to somebody. Reach out to me. Message me if you need any advice, questions that I didn't cover. Message me, ask me. I will help you. There's homeschool groups. On Facebook, there's homeschool groups that you can join, local ones. Just reach out to somebody. Let somebody know, hey, I'm really struggling. If you need help, that's just one of the most important things to do. We don't need people getting depressed. We don't need people, getting deep into themselves and keeping everything that they're feeling deep inside. I do that occasionally, and my husband is like, hello, talk to me. That's why I'm here. So just remember, you're okay. You're doing great. Your kids will be fine. I love you. And, yeah, those are my tips. So comment down below if you have any other tips that I didn't mention, because there's tons of tips and tons of pieces of advice that I could share with you, but this video would be 72 hours long. So if there's any other tips that you have, just put them down below in the comments, or if you have any questions that I can answer for you, write them down below as well. I just want to help in any way that I can. So if this video has helped you, let me know. I just want to help with everything going on, people acting so crazy. If this is something that I can do to help you, that makes me happy. So anyways, I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Stay safe, stay healthy, wash those hands, and Don't sneeze into your hand. Sneeze like this. Okay. Okay. Bye, guys.